Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Break Thru U podcast. My name is Josh Rosales, and I am super excited, incredibly honored to have Katie Nelson here with us. And Katie, thank you so much for joining us here on the Break Thru U podcast. How's your wonderful day going?
Oh, going good. Busy, but very good.
Busy. I know everybody, it seems like we're running and gunning and busy and just all the things. You know, it's crazy because I was walking out of a store yesterday morning and I looked up in the sky and, you know, I think it's crazy because like so many of us are so busy that oftentimes we forget to see the beauty of just the world, right? Creation. And I was walking out of a store yesterday morning and I looked up in the sky and there was a bunch of geese flying and they were flying in the V formation. And I was just like, you know what? That is incredible. You hear a lot of motivational speakers and a lot of people talk about geese flying in a V and how they fly in a V, why they fly in a V, and how they're able to fly so far in a V, and how the point geese will drop back and another geese will take its place, and it's just teamwork. And so, you know, I posted about that on my LinkedIn page about the importance of teamwork. And it just, yesterday, it reminded me that, hey, Josh, sometimes you just need to look up. And oftentimes you miss the most incredible things because we're so busy doing our things that we forget about the beauty of creation.
Absolutely.
I was just like, man, that just slapped me in my face. And I was just I just had to post about it because I was like, man, that is so true, because we get so busy. We got to take time to really make ourselves important at times, because a lot of times we're out trying to work for the man or please everybody else, and we got to take that time for ourselves. But with all that, just had to share that. And welcome to the podcast. And you know, here on the Break Thru U podcast, we just really believe in 90% of that breaking through ourselves is mental. You know, it's a lot of people, whether it's losing weight or whether it's you know, they have a dream and they're wanting to do whatever it is that they want to do, but they have a fear, you know. And it's just like, take that step. If we can get past the mind, then the body will follow. And do you experience that where some people are just like, just take the jump, just take the risk, just do it, you know? And oftentimes when you take that jump and you take that risk, I mean, beautiful things are on the other side of that.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I myself, like, I have my fears of, you know, day-to-day things. You know, they're trying to survive and, you know, got a mortgage to pay and just trying to make it. So sometimes it's scary just branching out or like just jumping into one thing. And yeah, I mean, it's a very scary thing.
Yeah, it is. It's very scary. But all of that to say is welcome again to the podcast. And I really want to jump into this. And thank you for accepting my invitation to come and be on the podcast. And I know that our listeners and those that are going to be watching are really going to draw a lot of value out of what you have to say and share with us this afternoon, just talking about all things entrepreneurship, which you are an entrepreneur, and you know, just hard working. I believe that success is on the other side of hard work. That a lot of times people don't experience success because they don't want to put in the hard work, you know. And a lot of times hard work comes with pain. You got to embrace the pain. You got to embrace the process. People want the outcome, but they don't want to put in the necessary work that it takes to arrive at the outcome of whatever they're wanting to do, you know. And so it's a lot of work. I mean, it's not easy, I'm sure, for you and for others and for me. You know, you don't get to where you are overnight. It just takes a lot of hard work, and I'm sure that there's like, we've come a long way, but there's still a long way to go. So it's all about the hustle every day, getting up, prioritizing, and being fit in all areas of life. But for the listeners that are listening on our 24 different platforms, on our podcast, and those that are watching, introduce yourself. Who is Katie Nelson?
Well, I was born and raised here in Clarksville, Tennessee, and grew up in a log cabin in the middle of nowhere in a place called Fredonia. And it's like
Wow.
between, I'm not sure if you're like, if you know where that's at, but it's like in between Ashland City and Clarksville. So it's
Okay.
tiny, tiny. But yeah, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, me and my sister and my brother. And yeah, and then I've just kind of never left. I mean, I've traveled and been, but this is home. And I've left before for like a short amount of time. And I don't know, Tennessee is my home. And I always get drawn back to here.
Tennessee is a beautiful state. I mean, I heard some statistics that you can reach 80% of the US in 8 hours or under. I mean, if you want to go to the mountains, you got Pigeon Forge. If you want to go to the beach, you got Alabama, you got Florida, you got North Carolina's, not too far away.
Yeah, in the winter you've got I think it's 4 hours to like French Lick where you can go skiing and
Yeah.
snowboarding. So yeah, I think that all the time. I'm like, I'm really not that far from anywhere kind of on the East Coast. So yeah, it's not a bad location at all.
I remember, I think it was a couple of years ago, maybe it was right before the pandemic hit. I had to take a trip and I drove to New York. It was 14 hours and I wasn't expecting to make the drive. And I had to make the drive on a short notice. And I drove up there and I drove back. But I was like, I mean, it was a long drive, but I was like, man, from Tennessee up to New York, 14 hours, it wasn't that bad, And I was just like, hey, I could even drive to New York if I had to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
So
really good.
no, not at all. So I was very intrigued. So where you are right now as a model and not just a model, but you do so many other things. A photographer. You're a photographer.
Yes. So I've been doing photography for about 4 years now. And I've done everything except weddings. I'm like, that's a lot of pressure. I'm like, but you want engagement, newborn pictures, you want glamour or what boudoir, whatever you want, I can do it. But I don't really mess with weddings too much.
Yeah, and weddings can be very. I think maybe people are so. I would say maybe anal about wedding pictures, and it's like if you mess something up, it's like, oh man, it's like what? I can understand that. I'm gonna chill on the wedding photography and let
Yeah.
somebody that
I
it's
love
stressful.
anytime I see like Judge Judy or any of those judge shows, they're usually from weddings. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Because there's so much pressure on it, that you've got all these family members pulling you one way to the other. And I know that just from me being in weddings. And I'm just like, I just don't know. I don't know how much enjoyment I would get from that with what I do now, as far as like newborns and engagement and stuff like that. I love it. And it's
Yeah.
my, you know,
So are you pretty active and like you have a photography business? People call you. You're doing just photo shoots all the time.
yeah, I've done quite a bit. Last year was my busiest year. This year, I'm not sure. It's leaned more towards like modeling. I've had more people kind of ask about hiring or using me for that. But last year, photography was just,
Photography.
yeah.
Wow. So growing up, did you always have a love for photography and then the other photography, travel, and modeling, or how did all that come into play?
As a little girl, I love to dress up. I mean, I was a little bit tomboy too, but I mean, me and my sister, we love to, dress up and put heels on, and I feel like that's kind of never changed. So I love like putting together an outfit and going out there or products. I'll get sent some products or wardrobe and wearing that, and it's just always fun. I feel like that's still that little girl that likes to, dress up and do her hair and get her makeup done. And yes, I always, since cameras have been on phones, or any, I even had like one of the little old Nikon cameras that were tiny. Yeah. So
Did you have the ones where you had to like
oh yeah, like the
yeah.
yeah, and you know, never know what you got until after it came out and you're like, oh gosh, that was terrible. But you always had a few good ones. So it's come
That is
along.
that is incredible. So growing up in middle school and high school, did you ever think that you were going to be like photography, or that you were ever going to, you were going to be a photographer, or you were going to travel the world, or you were going to be in the modeling arena, or did you think, what, maybe that's something that I would love to do, but I have to work a 9 to 5, and maybe someday I'll be able to do that?
Oh, never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would model, travel, anything like that. I mean, I wasn't unpopular, wasn't popular, but I always kind of like, I just saw myself like, I was like, okay, I want to do nursing, and that's what I'm going to go for. And maybe a minor in biology. And that was kind of where I saw myself going. It wasn't until I got out of high school and into college where someone had said, hey, you ever thought about taking pictures, or getting pictures done of you, like doing some modeling? And I was like, no, not really. But and then it just kind of snowballed. And
Yeah. So
yeah.
so you just went straight from college into modeling, and just kind of been working on for yourself the entire time?
No, actually, I did finish school, and I got my LPN and
Sweet.
thing. So yeah, I started doing that, and I did a little bit of the modeling on the side for fun. Anytime there was a fun opportunity, or if someone was like, hey, you want to collaborate and get together, I would just kind of jump in and do it for fun. But then it's funny, the older I've gotten, the more it kind of took over once
Yeah.
I had there. And I was with St. Thomas West for 9 years. And before that, I was with hospice for 5. And, but I've always kind of did a little bit, I dabbled a little bit into it, but it wasn't until probably the last 4 or 5 years that I really jumped into it. And yeah, it's just kind of taken off and been all over.
That's cool. I always, as even with my daughters and my son, I tell them that even though you're dreaming and you want to do, like, maybe you want to do something and go off, it could be real estate, or be an entrepreneur. Like, it's always good to have a trade behind you to fall back on. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that, for because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, like, some entrepreneur, maybe not a lot, but some entrepreneur, they jump, they take that risk, and then they don't have a trade to fall back on. I really feel like you should have a trade to fall back on. It's like a safety net or something.
Absolutely. I don't think you can't have enough skills or things to fall back on. I've kind of dabbled in the modeling, and of course, I wanted to do better with it. And also I was very interested in seeing like what the photographers were talking about when they talk about lighting, and they talk about like their f-stop and aperture, and it was like a foreign language. And I was like, I've never went manual mode. I want to learn. And I did have a friend, and she kind of showed me some things. And um but I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. But
No,
going
that's fine.
all the different skills, yeah, so nursing is something I can always fall back on. And then I've kind of branched out, and just, I'm a curious person. I just kind of wanted to learn more into everything that I enjoy and I like. I
Yeah.
want to know why this works and why this happens. How do some photographers, how did their stuff look this way? But the other ones are bright and airy, and the other ones are, shaded. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of where I branched out a little bit more into photography. And then, and I love art, and I'm tattooed, and I apprenticed for about 7 months for a while. And
Wow, for real. So you know how to do the
yeah,
tattoos.
yeah, so I can tattoo. I didn't finish it. My guy, he ended up moving, who I was apprenticing under. So, but I do have enough experience and hours to where, hopefully I'll get back into that and can branch off and do that one day.
That
So
is incredible. I remember it was funny. My wife, it was we were down in East Nashville, and it was with a group of friends, and we were walking by this tattoo place, and she's like, I'm gonna get a tattoo. And she doesn't have any tattoo. I don't have any tattoo. I'm just a big, sissy. I'm just like, I don't want to like, but she's like, I'm gonna get a tattoo. So she got three birds on the side of her, on her side. And she was like, it really didn't hurt, but it was like on the bone there. But I was like, wow, I had to give her props because she actually had the guts to get three little birds on her side. But I thought it was a really cool process seeing the guy just give her the tattoo. It was incredible.
yeah, where on the side did she get it? Was it
Yeah,
like
right there. Right there. Yeah,
yeah,
it was it
that's
was funny. It was funny. The story is she probably get upset with me for saying it, but she got the three tattoos. I think one was for her father who passed, one was for another family member, and then one was for her grandmother who had not passed yet. And she was like, well, I'm gonna get the tattoo just in case I don't have to come back and get it. So
no, I get that. And I love memorial tattoos. I'm one of those I'm one of those weirdos. Like I'll be in Walmart or in the grocery store, and I'll look over and someone will have a full sleeve or their leg sleeve, and I'll just sit there and stare at them, and I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, no, I'm just looking at your art. Like I want to see what's going on
it's
in
a
there.
story.
It is, yeah.
I
And
do the same thing.
yeah, yeah. And some people don't. They're just like, oh, well, I like a bunch of random things and put it on them. But I mean, typically I feel like when people put stuff on them, there's a reason why. Like there's something that they like. There's something.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, being in the Hispanic culture, you see quite a few Hispanics that have these tattoos, um, and it's crazy because a lot of them tell a story, and I really like just looking at the tattooed, and then I never, my wife's always getting on to me because like if I have a question or I'm curious, I'm going to ask that person, and other people might be like, dude, that's intrusive, and I'm like, I want to know, like I want to know. And so I'm like, hey, tell me about the story of of your sleeve. First of all, I love your sleeve, but like tell me like what went into it. And it's amazing when you start carrying a conversation on with someone about that, like the just the conversations you can have over their tattoos. But I don't know how we got on that subject, but I mean, I think they're incredible.
Yeah.
So, what's the most amazing place that you have traveled to being a model, and why?
Oh man. Wow. I'm really trying to think because there's been quite a few places.
Or the top two or top three?
Okay, I really loved Exuma. Exuma was really, it was just the water. I've never seen water like that, where it's
Hmm.
like going back and looking at just my random iPhone pictures, the water is that blue. And it's so many different shades of blue. I don't even know how to describe it. And the sand there is it's really soft. It doesn't really hurt. It's just soft sand.
Yeah.
So that's probably that's probably my top so far, to be honest. I've traveled, gosh, I've been all over the East Coast, been to Las Vegas, um, Los Angeles. Oh goodness. I've been to recently I went over to Europe, and was in Norway, which has been a place. It's just been that was like my number one that I
Yeah,
wanted to go.
Norway, I can imagine. Norway is beautiful.
Oh yeah, it was just amazing, and everything there was absolutely incredible. So
So talking about Norway, my next question is, what is a Viking Queen comic?
so I have a friend, for several years. He does a lot of like character, like little characters for people on Instagram. But he had told me, he was like, you're so into the Viking, and which is my heritage, and very Scandinavian, that whole Baltic Sea.
Yeah.
Anyways, he was like, I'd love to put a comic together. And I'm sponsored by Viking powerlifting. They're out of Norway too, and so they send me clothes and stuff like that. And he was like, I want to put something together of you and put kind of like a little story. And I'm like, I'm a comic nerd. I love comics, DC, Marvel, everything. But I was like, that's a dream come true. And for me to be a Viking queen, like, and like have my warrior kind of badass self, I'm like, oh my gosh, it was incredible. So he put that together. And a couple of girls that I've modeled with, who are also like some of my best friends, they are my sidekicks, and we just fight monsters, and then
That is so cool.
yeah. So we kind of, and we've put that together, and now he's on a little bit of a break. He's taken some time for himself, but he did say that he was gonna get back into that, so that's pretty cool.
Well, let me ask you, Katie. I mean, I know that every day you're probably not on, I'm sure that there's some days where life maybe throws you a curveball. And a lot of times there's probably been times in your life where you feel like giving up. And there's times where you maybe, I don't know, maybe you question, yourself. And there's a lot of people, I feel like, a lot of people, they, within that process of reaching that dream and that goal, it's hard to stay motivated. It's hard to stay focused. And, with everything that you're doing, and all the amazing things that you're doing, places that you've been, how do you keep yourself so motivated in your mindset and being healthy? I talk about being healthy, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. How do you stay healthy in all those areas, and how do you keep focused, and when you feel like giving up?
I would say, yearly, or sometimes even every 6 months. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do this anymore. Like I'm getting older, and I've got other things too. And but to be honest, I just have fun with it. Creating, whether it's photography or it's modeling. Um, I love putting together like a neat wardrobe, or someone sending me something and I'm thinking how I like a good location, or um, I'm just my mind's always wandering. I'm just a creative person. So I'm always trying to figure out, how can I make this look different, or inspiration. A lot of times I'll see other women or other photographers, and they have this beautiful work, and I'm like, how do they do that? Like, that's beautiful. And try to recreate it to be kind of like my own, or me and the photographer's own, or me and the model's own. So really it's just, I see things, and I just try to stay creative with it as much as possible.
So most part, you're very just positive person. Even myself, I always try to see the glass half full. Um, and it's kind of like, well, yeah, I know it's bad, but I mean, it could be worse.
Right.
And just trying to say, is there favorite podcast, a favorite ebook, favorite book, favorite YouTube series that you like to listen to or watch that helps you stay motivated? Or like, what do you do in those pastimes?
To be honest, I feel like I've got a really good support group. I really love Jordan Peterson. Um, I like to listen to him as far as motivation goes sometimes, because he's very raw and just out there. He's probably my favorite, but as far as like, for the most part, I've got a great support system locally. I'm friends with a lot of photographers, friends with a lot of models, and we just create and try to put things together. And they're really what keeps me motivated. We like to brainstorm. And I remember when I got a story, I won't drag it out, but I've got a small story about when COVID hit. Everything's shut down, everything's locked down. We're bored out of our minds. And I told my girlfriend, and her husband's a photographer, she's a model. And I was like, let's like put some kind of shoot together. It's us three. We've been quarantined, like we're good. And we came up with this crazy idea of like a bathtub with glitter and doing a glitter bath. And we just ordered some stuff off Amazon and just played around. And we had so much fun doing it. And the pictures turned out great. And I don't know, we just kind of put things together. And I feel like it's my support system. It's not really too much anything else other than the people that I've surrounded myself with.
That's so true because it's so important to have a support system and to have people that that are on the same page as you and that can, help sharpen you, help challenge you, help put you in check, be there when you're crying, be there when you're laughing, be there and you have, maybe there's different circles that you have. You have a circle that you can let your hair down and just be yourself, and other circles maybe it's professional or just different things, but it's so important. I mean, we're humans, humanity, we were born to be connected to each other, we're born to have community. And I think it's just so important to have community, especially being an entrepreneur, to have someone that you can just rely on, and people that are there for you, ride or die, and that's just so important, Katie. I can't stress that enough, even for myself. It's, you got to have community.
I would not have been or done half of the things that I've done in my life if it weren't for the system around me, like my friends and making great connections and having good people around. And you're only as big as the army behind you, and that's
That is true.
from every like kingdom kind of. I'm a nerd. Like, I'm gonna go back to like my Renaissance thing. The bigger army you have, I mean, you're more than likely gonna win. I mean, and it's I get where people say, I do, but I don't get where some people say, okay, I'm a lone wolf.
Yeah.
And I've done everything by myself, and I'm sure they have to a point. But I mean, did you really do it by yourself? Because to be honest, I don't know. I feel like, and I'm not saying, and I'm just saying kind of in general. I feel like if you are surrounded by a good community and good friendships and good networking and good people, a lot of times a lot of good things happen, or at least they have, in my opinion. I didn't get where I'm at because, there's beautiful women absolutely everywhere. Everywhere you turn, like you can turn around and there's a beautiful woman. I feel like what sets people apart are the people who back them and validate for them, or wanted, or like you were there for them and they were there for you and they want to help you out, or someone tells somebody else about you, oh, this girl, she's cool, like we got along great, and no problems, like we have a lot of fun. And I feel like that's kind of how it gets where it is. It's not, for me, it's just sorry, I'm getting like tongue tied, but I
No,
guess
it's networking. I think it's all about networking. Like I always say, you got to work the net, right? It's about networking, so for me, this is what I tell people. Like when I speak, I was at a mastermind, and I was able to, it's my actually my first mastermind that I was able to speak at professionally. And I tell people, I was like, there's, for me, I look at it because I network all the time, and networking is what has me here speaking with you. It's networking either face to face or networking social media. And some people don't understand that, hey, you can network through your social media platforms. And there's one thing to network when you're trying to get business. It's another thing to connect others. And I think that when you can connect others and it not be about yourself and say, hey, you're looking for this particular something, I have this person that can fulfill that need, and y'all network together. And I see for myself, the more that I can connect others, the more it comes back to me. And the more that I'm selfless, the more that it just karma comes back to me. And it's just, I think people have to get in a understand the power of networking and the power of connecting others and how much that comes back to you. And it's like all of a sudden you're probably getting calls out of the blue. It's just like, hey, Katie, we love to collaborate on things. Like, I don't even know who this person is. And it's because somebody else has like connected you to them. And it's just all about the power of connection.
Absolutely. I've had a few girlfriends where, you know, I, if someone's come to me and been like, hey, I need a commercial, or I'm wanting to shoot for advertisement, and if I'm busy and I can't commit to it, I'm like, no, but I can send you one of my girlfriends. She's beautiful, she's modeled, like, or she's really fun, you might want to reach out to her. And it's branched off for them. And then usually they're like, thank you, all this is happening, like good things are happening for them. And
Yeah.
every while it's returned to me, and it's just a good feeling, like, because I don't know,
No, it's true. It all comes back. And I think that as an entrepreneur, if you're going to work for yourself, or if you're in an industry where like it's sales, or like your ability to eat is tied into connecting with others, then networking is just so amazing. And especially doing it for the right reasons and the right intention is also so amazing. So let me ask you this. What is some advice that you would give to somebody that's watching, or somebody that's listening on not giving up? Like, not giving up, don't throw in the towel. A lot of times people give up, and right on the other side is a breakthrough for them. And a lot of times people give up shy of reaching their goal. And it's what advice and what encouragement could you give to our listeners and those that are watching about not giving up?
if it's something you love, I know things get discouraging and there's a lot of negativity out there, but to be honest, doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter. Just if you love it, keep doing it. And I heard a saying, and I've always followed it. Eventually, if you do what you love, eventually, you're going to become very good at it.
Exactly.
Right. And you're going to be good at what you do. And that's going to be what takes you to the next step, where you're fed and your bills are paid and everything like that.
I heard someone say you can't treat your business as a hobby, and you got because then you're gonna reap the benefits of that, which is probably nothing. You have to treat your hobby as a business to really make money out of it. And I think that's really some people treat their business, they have this goal and they want to like maybe quit their job and do it, but it's like they treat it as a hobby, and it's not, they're not putting that hustle in there.
Right. And whatever you do, I mean, I'm one of those, I put a lot of love into whatever I'm doing. If I'm doing photography, my biggest advice is put love into whatever you're doing, because
Love, yep.
there are some days I don't love it. There are some days where I'm like super annoyed, and I have somebody who's giving me a hard time or hassling me about some pictures, or the pictures didn't turn out that well of me or something. But at the end of the day, you just got to love it and just continue to remember why you love it.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Katie, for taking your time out of your busy day to spend with me and our viewers and listeners, to really just talk about, I really love talking to just individuals across the United States. I mean, and just everybody has a unique story, and to be able to dig in and learn about that story and learn about the successes and in the areas of opportunity, and the struggles. And it's like everybody out there is struggling. You're not going to get to this perfect place without a struggle, without a fight, without some downs and some ups, and with every up there's a down. And just learning from those times that you fall down and skin your knee, and might skin an elbow or skin your face, but you just learn from it. And so I thank you again for taking time to be with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me and asking me. Very, very thankful. So nice to meet you.
Definitely. Now, where can somebody get in contact with you, or what social media platforms are you on?
Right now, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I have started a website that's for modeling and also for photography, as well as my art, because I do draw and things like that. But for the most part, social media, Viking _Queen_Katie.
That is incredible. Well, thank you so much, Katie. I appreciate it. I'm honored to have you on, and definitely you have an amazing story that has really added value today. And for those that are watching and listening, definitely, follow Katie on social media, and also, really take time to listen to this podcast, and, follow us on Break Thru U podcast. We're on YouTube, and also, like I said, 24 different platforms, Apple, iHeart, I mean, you name it, we're on there. And so being a new podcast, we're gaining some amazing traction. And so having some incredible guests on, sharing amazing stories of their life. And so thank you, Katie. Have a wonderful afternoon. And I definitely want to continue to collaborate down the road on different things. We never know when, paths may cross, or on, in life or on social media. But thank you so much for taking your time to be with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You have a wonderful day.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.